Welcome on into the Wolverine Basketball Show. Clayton Sayfie here with you for yet another recap of yet another Michigan blowout win, 102-72 over Auburn in the second game of the Players Era Festival Tournament. Michigan has advanced to the championship game. They will take on Gonzaga Wednesday night, November 26th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time in Las Vegas. The winner gets $1 million in NIL for the roster. The runner-up gets $500,000 for their roster. Each team participating in this 16-team event has already gotten $1 million in NIL for their rosters. So Michigan playing for some extra cash. Michigan up to number 3 in the country on KenPom, playing for yet another quality win against a team in Gonzaga that's really, really good and 6-0 at this point. I want to talk about them at the end of the show, but we have to start with this Michigan win over Auburn. And man, coming into this tournament, like, you didn't really know what to expect from Michigan, what they were going to be. The two high major opponents they played, Wake Forest and TCU, those games came down to the wire. You went to overtime against Wake Forest in Detroit. You had to come back from a deficit in the second half against TCU down in Fort Worth. And you figure, okay, they're playing some good teams. San Diego State's good. Auburn is supposed to be really good, although they're going through a transition right now. Bruce Pearl, who was on the call, sadly, to Stephen Pearl, his son, just happened to be the best candidate for the job, was an assistant coach on it. That's going to be a good team, I think. They have some talent over there, but Michigan dismantles them after dismantling San Diego State the night before. And, it's funny. LJ Case, and I was talking to him after the Middle Tennessee win on Wednesday night, and he said, we're underrated. We're coming out there to make a statement. And Michigan has made a statement. The amount of times I've heard on TV, whether it's the Michigan broadcast, which got pretty Michigan friendly there once Jalen Rose and Chris Webber joined in, but also you heard Grant Hill talking about it. You hear it on the other games too, on the other broadcasts, talking about Michigan as a national title contender. It is a really, really long ways away at this point. That's in the very, very way down the road. But Michigan looks like it has that type of upside. And I think we all kind of knew that it could be there. We didn't know exactly when it would come together. It's starting to come together in November, and there's going to be all sorts of bumps in the road, hurdles to clear, all these different things. But the fact that Michigan has this gear in it is really great to see with another blowout win. And they make a statement. They show that, maybe they were being slept on a little bit coming into this one. So, I mean, really a ton to like. The first half was nearly flawless. Michigan leads 59-31 in the first half. They were not turning the ball over, only 9 for the game. They score 1.44 points per possession. That's the most Michigan has had in a game against a high major opponent since the Minnesota game. March 2nd, I believe it was, in 2010, early Beeline years. So, it was that good. And this is against an Auburn team that is known for being good on the defensive end. They were really good last season. And Michigan flipped the script from that Sweet 16 game down in Atlanta where Michigan got beat up on the glass. Those Auburn guards were just hounding Michigan's guards in the half court, extending the defense, all these different things. Michigan was the one that was relentless on the offensive glass, which really contributed to that number with the offensive efficiency there. 16 offensive boards. That's 44.4% of Michigan's missed shots, turning into 24 second chance points in this game. And what I loved the most was the guards just getting after it. Namari Burnett, I thought, set the tone with his energy, made a couple mistakes early in the game, fouled Todd Pettiford on a jump shot, and then had trouble staying in front of him a couple possessions later. But it was his energy getting to the basketball. It was Roddy Gale's energy again. Dusty May said at halftime he thinks he might have had the best 1-for-6 shooting half that he's ever seen because of the other ways he was impacting the game. And we talked about it in last night's show. He's starting to impact games without making jump shots in all these different ways. And then tonight he starts to make his jump shots. Roddy Gale finished making 3 out of his 6 3-point shots. There's just something about Roddy Gale on a neutral floor, man. I'm just telling you. But I loved what we saw from Namari Burnett. He's kind of found himself out here out there in Las Vegas, I should say. We're back here in Ann Arbor, but He's found himself in this tournament, 15 points, 5 of 7 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 4 of 4 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, no turnovers in 19 minutes. And that's a trend here too. Michigan keeping their guys fresh. Yaxel Lendeborg with a team high 27 minutes, but nobody more than that. And they're going to be as fresh as I think you could be playing your third game in 48 hours tomorrow night against Gonzaga because of the way they've blown these teams out. And Gonzaga's won in blowout fashion too. That's what you have to do to advance to the championship game in this format of a multi-team event. But Michigan doing a good job keeping its guys fresh there. But want to go over a couple of these numbers and not just mention it, but also prove it with the numbers. The rebounding from the guards: Namari Burnett, 2 offensive boards, 3 defensive boards. LJ Kaysen, 1 offensive board, 3 defensive boards. Roddy Gale, 2 offensive, 4 defensive. Trey McKinney, 1 offensive, 6 defensive. Elliot Cadeau, 1 defensive. And really, he's a good rebounder. He's been good this year. Cadeau, it's one of the pleasant surprises with his game. I think it was everyone else just getting to the basketball too. So I love what I saw from Michigan's guards cleaning up those balls. When you have the big guys just fighting there underneath and trying to clear out that space, the guards are flying in, grabbing the ball, going the other way when it's on defense, or going up with it on offense, getting fouled, whatever the case was. Michigan's offense, 63.6% on twos. They catch fire in this game on threes, 14 of 35. That's 40%. Michigan now shooting it much better out in Las Vegas after 3 rough games from beyond the arc. So we needed to collect more data. I think we said that after the Middle Tennessee game. We're not going to draw any conclusions on the shooting. Still not going to, but the fact that they've bounced back in this fashion and got a bunch of in-rhythm looks because of the pace they played with, because of the unselfishness, making the extra passes, that was a great sign for this Michigan offense that, they were generating some of those pretty good looks in the other games. They weren't knocking them down. Now they're starting to, and to make 14 threes in a game against Auburn is big time there. So 71 possession game, Michigan with 38 fast break points and only 9 turnovers. It's exactly the way you draw it up when you're Michigan and you want to play at that pace, but turnovers have been an issue for you at times. It's becoming less of an issue. Maybe we don't want to say it too loudly to jinx it, but it's becoming less of an issue for Michigan lately. The defense was locked down once again. The intensity throughout the game. Dusty May said the first 32 minutes he was really pleased with the energy his team brought. The 8 minutes, the final 8 minutes, not as much, but you started to rotate guys in. Oscar Goodman's dunking on dudes. Winners Grady's hitting a 3 from the corner. The bench is going bananas. But so that a little bit of that is to be expected. So you still win by 30 points in the game. I wouldn't worry about that. But if I'm a coach, right, that's the message you're going to have to disseminate to your team to keep them motivated. And I think they're going to be motivated going into a game against a really good Gonzaga team tomorrow. But man, I wrote this in our game thread over at thewolverine.com, and it's how frustrating is it if you're an opponent and you're trying to get looks at the rim, not even good looks, just looks at the rim overall. Auburn shooting 10 of 24 at the rim, 31.6% from 2. That's 12 of 38. That's their lowest 2-point field goal shooting percentage in a game since a 43-42 win over Northwestern on November 23rd, 2022. That was 27.6% in that game, and somehow they won it. But I guess that's Northwestern basketball. They were able to gut out a win back a few years ago. But Michigan just having that rim protection with the Daimara, with Merez Johnson, was really, really good. The size down low, I thought the guards doing their best to stay in front of Auburn's guards. And Tahad Pettiford is a heck of a cover. He's one of my favorite guys to watch in college basketball because of how quick he is. He can pull up, hit those tough shots. He's one of those rare guys. Yeah, you want to create great shots every time down the floor if you're a coach. But if you have a guy who can make the tough ones, whether it's late in the shot clock or whenever, that can separate you too as a team. And Tahad Pettiford can do that. So I think this is still a dangerous Auburn team. And really, I didn't feel super comfortable with Michigan's lead. I mean, you felt great about it, but you didn't feel like it was totally over until maybe it's creeping towards the 12-minute mark in the second half. I mean, you figured, but you just never know. And we've seen Michigan blow some pretty big leads over the years. But with those guys over there on that Auburn side, Tahad Pettiford and then Keyshawn Hall, who is a really dynamic forward, came back from injury in this tournament, is playing really good basketball. You didn't feel fully comfortable with your lead. Those two combined for 31 points on 21 field goals attempts, but the rest of the team shot 13 of 50 from the field, which is 26%. So Michigan shutting off the water on everybody else, doing their best on Pettiford and Hall. And with Pettiford, Michigan showed him a ton of respect coming around the ball screens. When Adai Mara was involved as the big guy, he was hedging. And Michigan rarely does that. So they did not want him to get downhill. They didn't want him to get to his pull-up shot. I think he hit 3 or 4 left elbow jumpers that I saw as I was working on other stuff, watching the Auburn game last night. So he's good at going to his left, obviously a lefty. And Michigan was able to do its best to kind of just stay in front of him. They put bigger defenders on him at times. And I really like what we saw from the Michigan defense. Season low, 1.01 points per possession for Auburn. They are now down to 19th in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency. We talked a little bit about Roddy Gale. I highlighted him even further over in my 5 takeaways article over at thewolverine.com. So just a plug there to head over to thewolverine.com. Perfect week to get in. It's Ohio State week. Michigan's playing for a championship in basketball on Wednesday night. You can get in for $1 for a week. You get behind the paywall. You can interact with fans over on our message board, The Fort, and also read all of our content. But just love what we're seeing from Roddy Gale. And one of the things I wrote in that piece is I think he's been a top 3 or 4 player in every game for Michigan this season. And he's coming off the bench. He's averaging 24 minutes a game, which is a big role, but it's not the role that he was playing last year at the beginning of the season. He looked lost at times then. Now he's kind of the heartbeat of this team with his grittiness and the way he runs in transition and pushes the ball and is, dumping it off for other guys to have a dunk. The screenshot of him going crazy when Yaxel finished the lob. I mean, just stuff like that. It's starting to come together for this Michigan team. They're showing their unselfishness, the cohesion. They still have a long way to go, but I feel like Roddy Gale is one of those glue guys on this team, along with Namari Burnett, Will Cheddar, Yaxel Lendeborg. I feel like he's turning into that energy guy too and getting a little bit that evil look in his eye, something I think, isn't a little bit of an adjustment for him, given he is such a nice dude and, isn't always the most aggressive player on the court, according to himself. But I just love what we're seeing from Roddy Gale. It's hard to put into words the impact that he has, but it's been really positive this season, and you just hope that he can keep that going. And again, something about Roddy Gale on neutral floors. But Yaxel Lendeborg really has to be talked about a little bit more as well. He's finding himself, and it's not the clunkiness with the 3 big lineup that Michigan started again, not as clunky as it was before. You're seeing him as a 4 probably most of the time he's out there, but when he's in there with the other 2 bigs, he's kind of finding some space to operate, and that wasn't always the case in the first few games. So Michigan's figuring out what their identity is on that side of the floor. 17 points for him, makes 3 of 7 from 3, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and for the second time in the last 3 games, 0 turnovers for Yaxel Lendeborg, a guy who's 6'9", and he's handling the ball like a point guard at times. So that's huge for him. The 3-point shot, he's 3 of 7 tonight on the season. Yaxel Lendeborg is 11 of 28. That's 39.3%. He played 36 games last year, so 30 more games than he's played so far, only 6. And he attempted 69 3-pointers last season, goes 25 of 69, 36.2%. Very low volume. Did not have a ton of confidence in his shot. Now he's letting it fly. It looks way more confident. I was at the NBA Combine in May watching him, and he didn't knock down his threes. And I think if you were a Michigan coach watching that, you were probably glad he didn't, because that could have separated him, and maybe he would have gotten that guarantee he was looking for from a team in the first round, but wasn't as confident with it. Hit a few elbow jumpers, but didn't hit the deeper ones. And it looks much better, much more smooth. It's something he's worked on since then. So that's a huge weapon for this team, because he's going to have to hit shots if he's going to be playing the 3. And frankly, he's going to have to hit shots if he's going to be playing the 4. So he's doing that right now, 11 of 28 on the season. Merez Johnson, part of that front court that was just dynamic, 15 points for him, 6 of 7 from the field, 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 fouls, 1 turnover in 20 minutes. I mean, just his quickness laterally, being able to switch at his size is huge for Michigan. And on the offensive end, just strong, kind of wants to bully you, wants to go into the defender and create that contact. You love watching him play as well. Adai Mara missed a couple ones around the rim. He was called Mara tonight, by the way, not Mata. 2 of 4 from the field, 1 of 3 from the free throw line, 8 boards, 1 assist, 3 turnovers. He's going to have some turnovers. He's also going to make some ridiculous passes. You got to find a little bit of a balance there, but I like Adai Mara on defense. He had 2 blocks, probably had more than that. They don't credit those correctly, but I like what we're seeing from him on the defensive end. He completely changes the game for this Michigan defense. Let's look at it here, because Michigan is 12th in the country right now, second in the country right now, allowing 35.7% on twos. That is ridiculous, okay? That is ridiculous. Opponents have shot 42.1%, 38%, 42.1%, 34.4%, 25.6%, which was San Diego State, and then 31.6% on twos, which was Auburn here tonight. So, if you can't score from in close, it's going to take a hell of a lot to beat this team. They're going to have to beat themselves. You're going to have to hit a bunch of threes. It's going to be a big challenge. Michigan with Gonzaga coming up next. Gonzaga is the number 1 team in the country on KenPom. They've won all 7 of their games. I might have said 6-0 earlier. They are 7-0. They're coming off a 100-61 win over Maryland tonight. They beat Alabama on Monday, 95-85 out there. Other wins over Texas Southern, Oklahoma, Creighton, Arizona State, and Southern Utah. Number 5 team on KenPom on offense, number 4 team on defense. They play fast, 15.4 seconds per possession on average. That's 44th fastest in the country. They're really good on the boards on both sides. They have a lot of size as well. When you look at their front court, 6'7", 6'9", 6'10", and then 7 foot off the bench. So Michigan will be challenged in every single way. Michigan's going to learn more about itself. Michigan is going to get a chance to get another championship in one of these early season tournaments over Gonzaga like they did in year 1 down in Atlantis under Juwan Howard. Michigan won the Fort Myers Invitational last year. They're now 9-1 in tournament settings under Dusty May, and they have a chance to win a title, Players Era Championship. They got a chance to win $1 million on Wednesday night. It's officially 12:01 a.m., so that is tonight. Sure, we missed a lot. Give us your comments in the YouTube chat if you're watching there. We'd love to hear what you thought of the game and what I missed, because I certainly missed a lot. Michigan with a 102-72 win. Head over to thewolverine.com for more coverage. We'll have your preview of the Gonzaga game up over at thewolverine.com in the morning, and we'll see everyone next time.